I realize that myself and my peers are going to be the generation who's going to have to carry on AI in a responsible manner. How is that supposed to work when the people carrying it on don't know what it is and don't know how to use it? Recently, we've been getting an interest from students in elementary. Parents
Oh,
have been reaching out to us. They really want their kids to learn more about AI. To me, it blows my mind that we're going to have an entire generation grow up knowing nothing but AI. And it's really essential that high school students understand how to use AI right now before they jump into the job sector. We're starting to realize that not knowing how to use AI right now is like not knowing how to use the internet.
welcome to Artificial Insights, where we talk to leaders and thinkers in AI about what it means to do AI right. I'm your host, Daniel Mineri, and this week in Season 3, we're doing a special featuring students. We wanted to talk to people who are early in their career, perhaps even before their career, and see what they're doing with AI. Today, I'm joined by Aasha Khan. Even though she isn't in university yet, she's built a chatbot to support people going through a challenge that's close to her heart, and has founded and led an organization that's dedicated to helping high school students educate themselves about AI. Asha, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So I am going into grade 12 and I am a student at Cameron Heights Collegiate Institute. I am a huge advocate for education. I love to learn. I also really love connecting with my community and I love meeting new people. And absolutely, I love to travel because I love experiencing the many different cultures the world has to offer. And I think it's really empowering when you go and see and experience, a different perspective. I think it's very refreshing. About a year ago, I started Youth Tech Labs. And short version, it's a youth run organization dedicated to teaching high school students about AI literacy. And it started because I found that the school didn't allow students to use AI. And it was this new thing that just came out, and there was a lot of regulations against it and saying have to redo your work. You could be suspended if you're found using it. And so I thought it was best to stay away from it as much as I possibly could. And that didn't end so well when I realized. So, for a bit of context, my dad is a data scientist. So he was very deep into the world of AI. And he
Yeah, he's a chief AI officer now, so
Exactly.
yeah.
So he was trying to show me all the new and cool things about AI, and he was trying to encourage me to use it. And I told him I couldn't because I didn't want to get in trouble with my school. And I would rather stay on the fence and on the safe side than touch it or use it. Now, regulations changed. They said you could use AI, but they didn't state exactly how to use AI. They didn't teach us really what tools to use and how to use them or implement them. And they said you have to cite if you use AI and then didn't tell us how to cite it. So there was a lot of new regulations that were very unclear to a lot of students, and very many of them were feeling very confused. And this left an environment where AI became stigmatized in high school, where you had a group of students that were terrified of AI, like me, did not want to use it at all or touch it. And you had another group of students who were very innovative, very creative, and wanted to understand this new tool, a very deep understanding that they're able to create something new. So they were very excited about it. And eventually, after seeing Dolly and image generation, I became quite fascinated with AI. And I started to look at some of the things that were out there. And I thought, this is so incredible. Why aren't we being taught about this in school? And I thought, I find this very strange because when we talk about the ethical responsibility with I realize that myself and my peers are going to be the generation who's going to have to carry on AI in a responsible manner. Now, how is that supposed to work when the people carrying it on don't know what it is and don't know how to use it? I thought that was a little bit counterintuitive and that there was already this group who wanted to test it out and play with it, but did not have a safe space to do so. And I thought it was really important when I started realizing you need this to get a job. And that was my full stop moment where like, this
Mm,
makes no sense. And so I decided if we're not being taught it in high school, might as well do a community organization where people can come out on Saturday mornings and learn about AI. And at first, I thought I'm getting high school students to come out on a Saturday morning. But actually, in our first and second year combined, we've had over 100 participants. So that's over
mm,
100 high school students volunteering their time to come out on a Saturday morning and learn more about AI. So I found that there's definitely an interest to know more. And sometimes when you see high school students being creative, it always blows my mind how when you let them have that, free flow state where they can come up with all these different ideas,
mm,
what the solutions that they actually make. And I love seeing that process in the participants. And that really was reflected in what we called our demo day in our second year. And our demo day was all about showcasing the conversational AI tools our participants have built as a culminating project over the course of our entire second year. And they pitched this to the community, to a panel of judges. And there's about 150 attendees at Demo Day. And these kids were very, very excited to share all their hard work and share their ideas. And they've actually made a tangible product. And some actually took it even a step further by coding new features into their conversational AI tools. So they had a lot of fun with it. And I was very proud and impressed to see them all up there. So I think that that's been a bit about my journey. And then finally, there's AskEve, which is the conversational AI tool built to break the stigma
mm,
around menstruation. And I decided I'm very much a passionate advocate in the gender justice space, and I love AI. So might as well combine them. And that really started when I met Gambit Co. And they were really had a focus for AI and social good, which I found was an intersection that I was very passionate about. So I approached them with this new idea. And I had no idea where this would go, but I thought, might as well shoot my shot and see where this path leads. And thankfully, they've been able to help me develop AskEve. And there was a wonderful demo day where myself and 7 other, we called ourselves change makers. Gambit developed this change maker program and we were all under it. And we all showcased the new and improved tools being made. So mine was around menstruation. There was one around eating disorders and trying to get through the recovery process. There's Gather, KW, or Gather WR, I believe. And it's about finding different spaces in the community. And it could be for a party, a gathering, a youth event, but really understanding what's out there in Waterloo region. So that has been most of my journey. A lot of learning and it takes a lot of grit sometimes to get through the rough points of being an entrepreneur, but definitely has been such a fulfilling experience.
mm. And just to expand a little on the Youth Tech Labs side, when you say Youth Tech Labs, what is youth in this case? Because your context is a little different than what some people would expect from that.
Yes. So we define youth as being high school students, and that's really what our audience is from, grade 9 to grade 12. That range there. And we like to sit in that space because it's a really important time in your life when you're in high school where you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. And sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And now with AI, there's so many different job sectors where, let's say you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, is what a lot of high school students say. Now, those job sectors don't look like what they once were before, and the skills required for those jobs are different. And we're trying to show these students, before they choose their path and before they go down maybe 10 years of med school, that they want to be sure, this is what you want to do. And this is exactly what your future is going to look like if you choose this job sector. And we really do this by bringing in local AI speakers. So they talk about the intersection of AI in their field. So, for example, people from Communitech talk about ethics and an introduction to AI. We've had a lot of professors from UW and students actually who've talked about AVS, healthcare, law, etc. So, really trying to show them at this critical point where they're trying to discover themselves and their interests that this is what's out here for you. And if you don't really like what you see, that's completely fine. There are so many different options for you out there. One thing that was really interesting is that recently we've been getting an interest from students in elementary. Parents
Oh,
have been reaching out to us about our program and they really want their kids to learn more about AI. To me, it blows my mind that we're going to have an entire generation grow up knowing nothing but AI. They're not going to know
yeah.
a future without AI. And for some of the stories I've heard, for example, the managing partner of Gambit Co., Pat Beliveau, he actually shared at one of our sessions, he spoke at that his 3-year-old son makes his own bedtime stories with AI. And he speaks to AI and he creates stories where he's featured in it or some of his favorite characters are featured in it, but he's able to have all of these different, creative moments. To me, I never clued into for these kids this young, they don't know how to write, so they can speak to it.
Yeah.
And it's truly fascinating. And, for some students, they just use it to build different projects. And because AI can make things so easy and you can do so many things without knowing how to code now, that the possibilities now are endless. And I know, like, you see every day some new AI tool solving some different problem. And there's just a lot out there right now that you're able to explore so much. And I know there is a huge debate around AI and creativity, but I
Mm.
really think when used in the right way, you're actually able to really amplify your creativity by amplifying your thoughts and your ideas by having a thought partner with you who's actually able, to talk out your ideas with you, who's able to play devil's advocate and say, what about this? And give you a real sense and different perspective that you may not have thought of before. And I think that's really important when developing analysis skills and critical thinking. And it's really essential that high school students understand how to use AI right now before they jump into the job sector, because we're starting to realize that when you're applying, not knowing how to use AI right now is like not knowing how to use the internet. It's something that we now think of as unheard of. There's not really very many people who don't know how to use the internet. And we've made it a priority for our students to know how to search something on Google or to know how to verify a source or make sure something is credible. And of course, parents and teachers and the education system have made sure that we understand sites that are unsafe or best practices for keeping students safe online. And I think a lot of the same principles that we have there will be carried over to AI and are in fact already are being carried over to AI. And it's really a matter of how fast we can implement it, because when trying to understand AI, we're already behind and we're trying to play catch up right now with our students.
Hmm. And you mentioned that you got speakers in, but it sounds like there's a lot more than just having people attend a talk. They actually build something. So what does that side of encouraging these high school students to build look like?
So you're definitely right. We do get our speakers to come in to really show them this is what your future is going to look like, but we also love to actually put them in practice when learning about AI with hands-on applications and activities. So we had what we called AI in the news presentations, and I was really trying to figure out a way to keep all of the participants updated on new and coming news about AI. And so we got some of the participants, they volunteered to give a 5-minute presentation about something new they learned about AI in the news. And they would present it to all of the participants at the front of the room, and we wanted to also encourage their presentation skills and research skills. And it turned out to be a really huge success. And there was a lot of students that brought new ideas to the table and introduced new and coming ideas. There was actually a very well explained project about DeepSeek and around about when it started gaining popularity. So we had a student actually explain what it's all about and some of the pros and cons about it. So that's something we try to get youth to teach youth as well. And we also have what we call AI quizzes. And we understand being youth, sometimes learning the fundamentals of things can be very hard, frustrating, or boring. So we try to really encourage them through competition and prizes. And it works very effectively for high school students. And what we did is that, are you familiar with Crash Course?
You mean the YouTube channel?
Yes, yes. So they actually have a playlist about fundamentals of AI, and it's very well explained. So we decided that we were going to get the participants to watch these videos, and when they come to the next session, that we were going to test them on said video, and that the top three people who got the most points would win a prize. So there was fierce competition in the room when we got to our quizzes. And it was always really fun to explore some of the deeper back end fundamentals of AI and trying to really teach that to these kids in a way that's very engaging for them. And I know that's it's sometimes very difficult to do because sometimes, some information can be a little bit boring, some's more interesting. So we really try to keep the learning as engaging as possible. Prizes are also a very good incentive and they work very, very well. And we also love to keep our students energized throughout the day by partnering with local businesses in KW to get food for them. So we've had Lady Glaze and Sweet Blues give us donuts and cookies and many more. And we're very grateful to them as well. And they make sure that our participants in the day stay very awake on a Saturday morning and ready to learn. So we do some of those things as well, and not only try to build AI literacy, but also try to teach them critical skills of leadership, presentation skills that they can carry on later on in their life. And one of the biggest things, and that I'm a huge advocate for, that all high school students should know this skill, is networking. I
Mm.
absolutely think it is a vital skill that you can carry on in whatever field you go to, and it's always great to make new connections. And sometimes for high school students, it's really hard to put yourself out there or understand how to market yourself. So we really try to give them this safe space where really there's no harm, no foul if you mess up a few times here and there. But it's really great to practice with our speakers if they have questions or our community guests that we bring in, and they can talk to them about some of the ideas they've been having and get real feedback from them. And we also love to see our advisory board as well at our sessions. So we sometimes see our participants discuss ideas with them. And we hope that they will be able to cultivate these skills in this safe environment so that they're actually be able to build them not only for demo day when they actually have the big event and everyone's there and they have to present, but later on at jobs or different conferences, etc.
And how do you encourage networking? Because
So
it's really hard to do that.
so what we do is that we have a lot of time after our speakers go on for a QA session, and the YTL team tries to hype up our students to ask questions, and we try to get a conversation going. And you see slowly but surely a few hands raised, and then as people get more interested, more hands shoot up, and you can see all of these students with bright and burning questions. And we just really need to get them a bit out of their shell by kind of putting ourselves out there as a sacrifice first. We can
Mm,
get them to see that, it's okay to ask questions. And there's probably someone else in the room that has the same question as you or wants to know something about a similar topic. So we encourage them to talk to our speakers. And then we also find the best time that the participants network is at our snack time. And,
mm,
the best deals are done over food. And we let them kind of roam around and talk to the community guests. And we try to see some of the projects they've been working on or some of the different ideas they're interested in so we can connect them with the right people. And in our third year, actually, we're thinking of partnering with different community organizations to get our participants out there in the open and be
mm,
able to solve an issue that actually is defined, has been seen, and that they're able to connect with the people who are close to the problem so that they're able to experience it and cultivate questions that will ask them, what do you actually need? Not just this big fluff solution, but what do you actually need? What would actually help you? And then being actually able to garner empathy and have that shared point of understanding to develop a better solution.
mm. So moving beyond what you'd done previously was to have the students build solutions and present them, and moving beyond building something for themselves, but also partner with organizations that are looking for something to be built for them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's very cool. And what does the next year of the third year, I think you said, the next year of Youth Tech Labs look like?
So we right now are hoping to once again have our special guests and our speakers come back and try to explore new intersections with AI. There has been so many recently and it is ever evolving, but we want to, kind of expand on the idea of demo day. And you've kind of seen our transition period between our 3 years. Our first year we had them develop a pitch. So it was more the idea generation and thinking of all the different points behind it, but without an actual product. And then our second year, we wanted them to develop chatbots. So actually having a tangible proof of concept. And then in our third year, we want to actually get them to use AI to build a solution that will be
Mm.
catered to this specific problem seen with this community organization that they can help solve. So, really taking the lens of not only what they see through their eyes, but also what is there in the community and getting them to actually connect with the people around them and see how exactly they can help.
Very cool. Is there anything else that you'd want to say about Youth Tech Labs?
I feel like we've covered a lot, but I'm very excited for what's in store. And I'm really hoping to make a lot of new partnerships with different people. And we're actually looking into hosting potentially a few different workshops and expanding to the broader community. So, not only bringing AI literacy to students, but also to teachers and staff, and also,
Mm.
different businesses who want to figure out how exactly, youths take on AI and just really trying to expand our reach because I find AI literacy is essential now more than ever. And we need to be ahead if we're going to be prepared for what comes next. So that's really what we're here to do to help.
And what else would you like to say about your own project, AskEve? Because I first met you at the presentation with Gambit Co. and the Changemakers. But yeah, what else would you like to say, and how has that evolved over time?
Yeah. So really, I have AskEve in my mind as a global vision. And because it is an AI chatbot, it can be implemented in places all over the world. And of course, I do want to start here at home and to make sure all is well and that I test it rigorously and that it actually helps some of the women and people who menstruate out there and that they're actually able to find the support they need. I really want AskEve to live up to its values of making sure people feel seen and heard and that AskEve is not just for people who menstruate, and the conversation of around menstruation isn't just around people who menstruate, it's around everyone. And AskEve is for people to help support their loved ones or their children or a sibling or a friend, really trying to garner empathy around this conversation for everyone affected around it. And it's also to not bring in the educational piece around menstruation, but also there's a psychological toll that we don't talk about. It has been shrouded in silence for a very, very long time. And it sometimes manifests, and I see at my school where girls pass pads to each other like it's a drug deal. And it's not. And it's so hard when you don't know how to talk about it. It's not even the point of asking the question, it's not knowing what to ask. And that's the hardest part is knowing where to start when no one has told you what to talk about. So the vision with Ask Eve is really to deliver that empathy and then expand on a global scale. And that I'm also hoping to feature different blogs. So have different stories from girls across the world shared on the Ask Eve website. I really want to give voice to these girls because one of the greatest things I find that we fall into so easily is thinking we're alone in our experience. And sometimes it's mind blowing to see that we're not. And that sometimes when you struggle, that someone else has also struggled the same way you have, and that you're not the only one who's stuck in this. And I really want these stories to be a reflection of that you are not alone in your experience. You're not the only one struggling with this. It's okay to feel the way you feel, and that you have a support group and network to help you get out of it. And sometimes
Mm.
I know it's really hard when you have your moments where you think you're insane or dramatic or you don't know what to believe. And sometimes having these people around you supporting you, knowing that you're able to rely on them or see these stories and understand different people's perspectives or learn something new. That's really what I want from it.
Hmm. That reminds me a little of the Ask Ellen chatbot that you mentioned as well, which is based off of her story. So, yeah, it's powerful because of that. And maybe a slightly philosophical question. Why do you think AI is the right tool for this problem that you're solving?
I think it's really important because of the 24/7 support. I know Ellen's talked about this a lot, but sometimes when you go through your period the first time or you're in class and you just bled through your pants or whatever situation you're in, you can't always be there for that person or especially at, late nights at 3 a.m. when you're feeling your worst. You can't be there with that person. But with AI, you can still in some way be there to support them and help them through their experience and what they're going through and that you're also able to have the multilingual aspect where you can talk to so many different people in different languages and you may not know that language, but with AI you're actually able to communicate and reach with them and let them know that they're not alone. And that's the most important thing as well, is that they're not alone. With AI as well, you have this global scale, this global reach where you can help so many different people. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things I really love about AI is its reach. And of course, we can talk about for good and for worse, but I really love the idea of being able to help a girl in India. That seems so incredible that I can't speak that language and I'm not there with her physically, but she will actually be able to receive the support that she needs to get through this experience.
Hmm. And last question from me. I think with a podcast like this, one question that's on everyone's minds is, Asha, are you an AI?
That's hilarious. No, I am not, unfortunately. I find sometimes there's some similar patterns I find whenever I think about new ideas or I'm trying to iterate an idea where I find we think on the same wavelength. So it's sometimes like I'm talking to a twin. And It's really funny because sometimes I know my parents when I give responses, sometimes they say, "You sound like AI." That's really funny that you bring that up.
So other people might vote against you, but you're not an AI at the moment.
No, I'm not.
Well, we're glad that you're not an AI. And thank you, Asha. That's all from me. But do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
I think for now that I would like to tell everyone to stay curious about what's to come with AI. It is also ever evolving, so it's sometimes hard to play catch up with all the latest and greatest news with AI. But please don't feel afraid to learn more about it or learn how it can benefit you in your everyday life, and that it's really important to cultivate a safe space for your children too when talking about AI. When we don't talk about it, sometimes, youth will explore it on their own, and you'd rather have them in a safe space doing it and make sure that they feel empowered in their experience. So, to parents out there as well, sit down with your kid and have an honest and open conversation around AI and have fun using it with them. Create new stories or create a new idea. And the possibilities are endless, so don't be afraid to try it.
And how can people connect with you or with Youth Tech Labs?
So for Youth Tech Labs, you can go to our website, youthtechlabs.ca, or Instagram at Youth Tech Labs. And if you ever want to reach out to me personally, I'm always available on LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out. I'm always looking forward to a new conversation.
Thanks for listening. I made this podcast because I want to be the person at the city gate to talk to every person coming in and out doing great things with AI and find out what and why, and then share the learnings with everyone else. It would mean a lot if you could share the episode with someone that you think would like it. And if you know someone who would be a great person for me to talk to, let me know. Please reach out to me at Daniel Maneri on LinkedIn, or shoot an email to daniel@maneri.house, which is Daniel@MANARY.HAUS. Thanks for listening.